Silo all work-related content activities to just work. Ask a bunch of questions and then document them internally. Keep track of company purchases or purchases you make on company dime. Study coding outside of work. Ask other teams what they use and build in so you can see if you can contribute in a meaningful way. Ask for resources from your team to help deepen your knowledge. Document PR reviews and summaries. Share logistical issues with the team as soon as you run into them. Demand clear requirements for tasks. Make the effort to define handoffs. See if you can make it into the interview process to sort of curate value add. Define once, use everywhere. Learn about Git branch strategy. Experiment with mini frameworks. Make sure you're interviewing your company in the initial interviews. Learn the deploy platform on the team. Storybook is very good for component-based development. Storybook has a testing suite as well. An example process for you might be coding and then getting a PR and then getting it to QA and then merging it into main. Learn Git hooks. Don't use Husky. Try to organize imports as much as possible so it's just easier to read. Unit testing isn't bad. Find a project tracker that is easy to use and allows you to be flexible. Try building automations. Environments. Use environments. Make sure that you are rallying the team with stuff that isn't just coding. If you're using VS Code, you can edit a .vs code to sort of unify the editor experience. Use plop or any other code generator for a lot of code things that are really similar. Use Salesforce at your own risk. Unsilo your team as much as possible. Job security does not exist. Once you shut your laptop down, work is over. Documentation is God. Advocate for developer onboarding. If you can learn a lot on the team, aka be in many places at once, do so. Linting in the pre-commit can keep things pretty solid. Linting exists. Document meeting minute. Vertical rules in VS Code can help with code readability. Try to understand the job market while you're on your job. Not all meetings need to happen. If you have unlimited PTO, use it. After Effects can be really helpful with animations. Nurture life outside of a job. Keeping like a personal Trello board thing can be really good. Having a line count rule is really good for code readability. Keep a work journal. Sometimes process can get in the way of things. Data migrations are terrible. Schedule deep work. Document code snippets. Learn Comitizen. You might have to self-publish versus publishing on NPM, depending on if you're making your own packages. The best way to get familiar with the code base is probably to get assigned to manage it versus trying to study it. Highly recommend outlining code before actually tackling it. Learn a form library. The difference between a senior and a junior dev is the way that they talk about projects. Story templates speed up development. Cross OS development can be really tricky, like using Windows and Mac. Ask about company mobility. Every story should have 3 points. I don't make the rules. Document process change as much as possible. Git push force is the scariest command ever, and make sure you don't have to use it. You don't need to rebase. If you think testing is fun, make sure that your team is prioritizing it. Small teams can actually get a lot done, surprisingly. Company retreats can also be a good way to sort of unsilo. PR templates are also extremely useful. Having a code quality standard also will help you ship faster. Always be ready for restructuring by documenting. Retros are perfect when they're structured and light. Make sure that scripts that are used in production are documented. Yarn is better than NPM. Do not assign developers tasks in sprints. Don't try to learn everything all at once. GitHub Actions are crazy powerful and very generous. Remove dependencies as much as possible. Communicate and be overly verbose. Make sure new folks and interns have stuff to do. Making sure that you have some sort of dynamic configuration can be really good for environments. Brown noise helps with coding. Embrace failure. Slow is better than fast. Make sure retros are documented somewhere for later. One-on-ones are awesome. Try to defend against outside pressure as much as possible. CI/CD really speeds things up. Caching can be an issue with preview deploys or actual production deploys, so make sure you're clearing out your cache. One monitor is probably better than two. Sometimes just hanging out in huddles is okay and fun, especially if you're remote. Sometimes emergency huddles are necessary. A lot of people do not have comp sci degrees and are brilliant coders. The people who know the most about the product will have the easiest time contributing. Seats for web products can be sometimes expensive when you're smaller, so try to find some ways around that if possible. Sprint goals help guide load. People who did code work outside of scope typically were considered the most useful. Don't let the company burn you out. Talk to your teammates about how things feel.